These are the 5 games I've been playing the most since the PSVR2 launched just 1 week ago. Horizon Call of the Mountain was the big launch title that came out alongside the PSVR2 and is also in the bundle. This adventure game has you inside the Horizon universe playing first person as you try to scale mountains, destroy robots, and see beautiful views. I'll be honest with you, this is not my favorite game by any means on the PSVR2 yet, but it's one that I've been spending quite a bit of time to see what the PSVR2 is capable of and its gorgeous views. The game has exciting action sequences, but it has so much climbing, and the climbing gets a bit tedious that I found myself grinding through the climbing sections to get to the next battle, boss, or just be able to find a really pretty spot to enjoy the view on the PSVR2. The game is $60, unless of course you got that bundle, then it costs you $50 extra to get it. It is a game I feel like you have to really see what the PSVR2 is capable of, but it's one that I wonder down the road, will people be getting the game once there's been a lot of other games released? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Horror games aren't for everyone, but when it comes to what PSVR2 looks like and can do, Resident Evil 8 is a really good showcase. Not only is it an extremely full AAA title, it's all in VR and you are set in this survival horror world. If you don't know what Resident Evil 8 is, you've been missing out for the last couple of years. But if you're like me, I held off to play this specifically on the PSVR2, and so far it's been really fun, albeit pretty scary. With use of the haptics, the adaptive triggers, Resident Evil 8 does a good job, although you can kind of tell when you're playing it that it was originally a flat game. There's parts where it feels like you should reach out and be able to grab something on the desk and you can't, or you're still pressing X a lot to interact with things in the environment. But it is one of the games I can highly recommend. Get it, and you can even find it used since it's an older game, as the DLC for VR comes free if you have a physical copy of the game or you bought it on a sale on the PlayStation Store. Resident Evil 8 is a game I would say you cannot miss if you're getting the PSVR 2. Pistol Whip is an action rhythm shooter game. It's been out in VR for a long time. It was even on PSVR 1, but getting it on PSVR 2, it feels like I'm hanging out with an old friend again. As one of the games you can really be active in, dodging bullets, you're dodging pillars that are coming at you, and you're returning fire at these enemies to some really awesome music. I owned it on other headsets and I thought maybe I'm not going to buy this on PSVR 2, but I'm so glad I did because I've been spending time in it, loving it all over again. And if you have not played it before, I highly recommend checking it out and unlocking the sci-fi campaign in it. I won't spoil anything for you, but it is one of my favorite times I spent in VR when that first came out and I got to check it out. Gran Turismo 7 has been the unlikely hero of the PSVR 2 for me so far, especially if you're someone who has a steering wheel, a nice one with force feedback. I've got a Logitech G29 set up and I have spent hours just racing around in Gran Turismo over and over again. I'm actually not that into the whole career mode and trying to advance. I just want to race the cars and have fun in them, and it's really, really good looking as a game. Really great feeling with the steering wheel in there, and there is no option to use the sense controllers or the motion controllers, but you can even use the dual sense like a steering wheel if you want to feel it out. I actually was able to get the game on sale and you can find it used. It's a game that was also, like Resident Evil 8, was released already on the PS5, and if you get one of those you'll get this upgrade free, so you can probably get a good deal on it if you look out for that. Even as someone who doesn't usually play racing games, I really enjoy racing games in VR because it feels more like you're actually out driving and having fun and not just pressing sticks and triggers and looking at a TV screen. It really changes the way it feels, and I actually, even talking about, just want to get back in right now and keep playing that game. A quick honorable mention before going to number 1, I've got to bring up No Man's Sky. Now, although this game's been out for years flat, it's been out in VR, already on PSVR 1, other headsets, going back into it on PSVR 2, it looks so good. The universe feels so big, and if you're not into the whole survival element, the creative mode you can get in and just build, it is an awesome game to just go around and see the creatures, fly through space. It definitely is one of the most complete feeling games in VR, period, and now it's on PSVR 2. I've been enjoying re-exploring this universe. The game I've spent the most time playing so far on PSVR 2 won't surprise you if you know the channel, but it might surprise you if you haven't heard of the game or played it much, and that is Demeo. Demeo is a game that if you've seen video of it or you've even seen people playing it, I have to tell you, it does not translate in a flat video what this game feels like when you're playing it with your friends. I was someone when this game came out that I told people, I don't want to get that game, I would never play it, and a friend convinced me to try it just to make a video with them, and I have spent maybe thousands of hours in it. I've spent way too much of my life playing Demeo. In this dungeon crawler, it's like a virtual board game where you're controlling one of, I think, 7 heroes now have been released, all with different attributes and different cards they can use, different attacks, and you're going through these dungeons picking up items and keys and meeting traders. Now there's so much that's been added to this game even since it launched, but you try and get through these dungeons and then you fight the bosses, eventually leading up to the big boss battle at the end. Each campaign you can play play it multiple times as the enemies change. It's procedurally generated. You can usually spend 2 to 3 hours per campaign each time you sit down, play with your friends, and people have compared this to like a virtual reality Dungeons and Dragons simulator. Now, with all that said, I have to reiterate, this game is more than the sum of its parts, and it even won VR Awards Game of the Year a few years ago, showing that people really do believe in and love this game. If you're out there and you've gotten the PSVR2, I'd love to know what you're playing so far, but if you haven't gotten it, are you thinking about getting one? There are a lot of games that were already out on PSVR2 that have been out on other headsets before, but I found for me, even I am enjoying revisiting some of those games that I played on PC or I played on Quest and seeing what the PSVR adds to it with its haptics, its adaptive triggers, and it's been a really fun time so far. But let me know what you think, and I will see you in another reality.